All right, how many people went trick-or-treating this week? Anybody? Got a couple? Come on, be honest. So the Evans boys dressed up as Gandalf the Grey and a football player this year, and it was super fun. So I'm rushing home, getting ready. My wife and I both dressed up too to make it fun. And part of the reason we did that is we moved into a new neighborhood within the last year, and so we've never trick-or-treated there, and so we didn't know exactly what to expect. But so we get all our stuff on, and we've had our dinner, and we're walking down the road, and what we're seeing is light after light after light. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is a good sign, because the porch lights are on. That usually means we can go up and trick-or-treat, right? So we're going up, the boys are running up, trick-or-treat, and door after door after door are opening with smiling faces, people that are being welcoming and inviting. They're giving us boatloads of candy, and I say us because there's a dad tax, right? Any candy collected, I get at least a couple pieces, right? And we had a blast. And at the end of the night, we went through the whole neighborhood, and we got back home, and our bellies were full of candy, and our hearts were warm. And I tell you that story because it was an experience where we felt like we were loved, and we were invited, and we were welcomed, and we felt like we belong. And you know that feeling, right? You have that feeling where you belong someplace, and it just feels fantastic. I tell you that story because many of you work in the digital space, and today, because of the information age we live in, the digital spaces that we work in are the digital front doors to Michigan State University. Just think about that for a moment. The applications that you work on, the websites that you work on, the forms that you help provide, those, for many people that don't even come to campus, are the first experience that they have when they come to campus. And that's a tremendous responsibility. Now let's think back just for a moment to this past summer. 5 months ago, we asked all of you, put together your annual review plan and put a number of things in there, right? Put your websites, your web applications, your courses, the things you're working on in terms of training and development of your staff. And guys, we were blown away by the things that you put in there. And we're starting to review those and go through those, and it's a stack this big, but we got those smiles on our faces as we're going through them because we're realizing that you guys are prioritizing the content in your own ways without great guidance until most recently, right? We're trying to provide some guidance, but you found ways to go, you know what, this is going to be a priority website for us this year. Or this is going to be a priority web application or a priority course that we're going to focus on this year. And as we step back and as we collated all those plans, and we've been doing that, 305 was the number that came up for us. 305 different websites and web applications that you said, you know what, this is a priority for us this year. And I'm not talking about courses right now. This is just on the website and web applications. These are the things that we're going to prioritize. And in aggregate, as we put them all together, this was the number. And that's a big number. That's a really big number. And I was blown away to see that. And that's actually really cool. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And the reason I tell you all of this is because we're going to start talking about what does it look like to do web accessibility auditing here at Michigan State University. That's why we've been providing some guidance on prioritization. That's why we want your feedback to make prioritization even better, because we need to start focusing on auditing, and we want to be able to provide some guidance on that. As we get started, I want to frame this up around the why and the how. And the reason I'm modeling it this way for you is because we encourage you to model it the same way within your own MAUs. It's easy for us as web developers to want to go, just tell me how to do it. That's the question that we've been getting for the last 18 months at least. Just tell me how you want me to audit, right? And I want to take a step back. I want to resist that urge just for a moment and talk about why do we want to audit and how we're going to get there, because these are the kind of conversations you need to have within your own college as you talk with administrators, as you talk with faculty, as you talk with students and staff. You are going to have to deploy empathy in ways that might be new to have this conversation, because it's not an easy one. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the why and the how. I talked a little bit about our digital front door. Our front door should be open, right? Going back to that story earlier, we want people to feel invited. We want them to feel welcomed to MSU. We want them to feel like they belong as a part of Michigan State University. That's why this is important. One of the reasons that we're going to start auditing and start reporting the auditing progress that you're making is because it demonstrates progress not just at the institutional level, but it's important to demonstrate and show the progress that you're making at your own college or departments. And so we have a framework that we're going to talk a little bit about today to show you what that looks like. Right now, it has executive attention, right? So on a monthly basis, since the summer, we've been reporting the web accessibility metrics that we're aware of in terms of progress on web accessibility auditing. We have a good sense about what is the health of web accessibility and web applications here on campus, and we report that up to Satish. So it is on the minds of our executives right now. And you should know that the work that you will put in to these audits filters up. We've tried to create a system that puts that in front of our executives to make meaningful change. Another benefit of this, as we talk about it, we've created a system, and it's not going to be perfect right away, but we've created a system and that we hope to improve on, that it builds in the reporting for your annual review. So I kind of had this thought that last year, June 30th was your deadline, right? And everybody's scrambling from May 15th at the end of the semester through that deadline to try to get their plans done, to try to get as much information as they could into those plans. That's hard to do, right? When you're looking back from the previous 12 months and you're overwhelmed and you're trying to figure out, okay, who do I need to talk to? Who's the right comms person? Who's the right developer to gather all this information for the entire unit? How do we do that? So what we're trying to do is set up shorter cycles, right? And what we're going to propose is that you start doing this on a monthly basis and feeding into this system so that way it prepares you for the annual review that's coming up next June, and it doesn't create extra work, a few weeks before that's due. So we'll talk a little bit more about how that looks too in just a moment. This is a progression of the approach that we've taken. It's not a shift away. It's not a turn off. It's a progression, all right? So we're going deeper down the rabbit hole, and we're asking you to do a little more in terms of auditing, and we're going to show you what that looks like. What are our expectations? We're trying to raise the bar and make it look like it's a regular auditing and reporting cycle on a monthly basis. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jojo. He's going to talk a little bit about how this works and what it looks like. I know there's going to be questions. Let him kind of get through his presentation. We're going to leave some time for questions, all right? So it's not going to happen overnight, and we know that. All right, so let's go ahead.
So there's some unfamiliar faces here, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Jojo, and I work with Phil and Nate at Will's house, and I'm a Universal Design intern. So to jump into this is the annual review report. You can see this is the website section, and we had you summarize different portions of it, and we had this little table here to kind of have the different web applications, the associated URL, the status of it, the date last evaluated, and additional comments. So what we're going to start doing now is we're going to take this little section and we're going to migrate that in an Excel document, which we'll see the transition right here. So we're going to take this portion of the table and we're just going to move it into this Excel document, which has the same amount of content, but the perks of having it in an Excel document is now you just have to worry about this one document. You don't have to worry about sending the annual review to us and then we getting it back, and then it kind of removes a lot of different versioning issues. So now we just focus on the Excel document, and if you want to make changes, you just update the Excel document as opposed to having to do a whole new annual review and sending it to us. So how the Excel document would work is you just fill out the same information you were before with the different website applications, and whenever you make a change to it, because this will be done on a monthly basis, each month you'll make a change to it, and the changes will be highlighted in red, so we'll be aware of those changes. And what this does is it kind of allows us to aggregate the data, and we'll be able to have it in a master sheet where we'll be able to measure the health of the overall accessibility of the school. So.
You have color-based things to distinguish content. That's accessibility rules where you have to have some alternative to that.
Yeah.
Anyone here who's colorblind, you can't do that.
That's correct. Yep. So we're investigating multiple options for that, for adding new content. So essentially what we're looking at is this. By the first of the month, any data that you add into your Excel document, which by the way is cloud-based, we're using O365 for this. We're going to give access to anyone that you tell us needs to have access to this document. You update the progress of the remediation on that, and on a monthly basis, if you get it in by the first, it goes into the master document that we're reporting in terms of executive metrics on a monthly basis. Any questions about what that looks like or process or anything like that? Yeah.
Is there a comparable spreadsheet for things that are not websites?
This is a good question. So right now we're limiting this to web applications and websites. We have the CAB-CAR system for courses, which is similar but slightly different, the way that we've set it up because of working with a different group of users. I don't think we have anything currently outside of those two applications, though, courses and web.
That doesn't mean we're opposed to the idea. As we've always said, if you guys ever want new processes or resources, we're here to help you.
Absolutely. So our desire would be that 305 grows, right? That slide that you saw. As you start auditing more content, we want that number to go up. As you start taking a look at the content and it goes from, hey, we know it's in our queue, we know it's a priority, to now we're actually going to start remediating it, and here's the process we're using to remediate it, to, hey, we believe that this is accessible. Is it as accessible as we can get it? Can you give us some feedback on it? To now we've done some QA and some bug testing, and we're doing that on a regular basis. We want to see progressively how you're auditing on a regular basis. We're going to talk a little bit in a few minutes, and this is just kind of a high-level overview of what the accessibility auditing protocol looks like, but we're recommending a protocol for you to follow to do that auditing. We've developed it with UARC, and Graham and Phil have done the majority of the legwork on this. Actually, I should just say Graham has done the majority of the legwork on it. They've done a fantastic job on it. So any other questions before we move towards the auditing protocol? Yeah?
Is there any carrot that goes along with this? Like if you do this, then you don't actually have to fill out an annual report on your website?
So what I would say is if you do this part, refer, and you're actively using the web portion of it, just say refer to our annual sheet. So that part of the form, maybe I shouldn't have made that decision for you. I don't know, Phil. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of redundant information, so.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah. Nobody does. So that's one carrot for you. And if you're already using I know you're already using the course side of it too, that would follow as well.
Yeah, earlier we had tried to recruit some of you guys to volunteer to join this.
And we're recognizing that probably the better way to encourage you to do this is to just make it fit in with your workflow and save you some time. So hopefully this will help you out.